Hello. Hello. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Will Johnson. UnitedAmericaFirst.com is the website. Joe Biden. You know, a lot of people were really excited about Joe Biden. Not me, but, there was a lot of people that's excited about Joe Biden. They were like, yes, Joe, right? You remember even they were saying vote blue no matter who. They even said that at a time at one point. But they were all excited about Joe Biden. But now that it seems like seems to be changing. And you have to ask yourself why. Well, we know why things are changing. We all know why, right? We all know why. But because things are changing, they're trying to change the facts. They literally are. And I'm talking about those on the left. They're trying to change the facts in the middle of the game. Like one thing, for example, like the press secretary is changing the definition of a recession, right? She's trying to change the definition of it. At first, they didn't want to define it, right? And then they tried to come back and they're trying to change the definition of it. And actually, I have proof that Google even went along with changing it. And I'm like, because I went out there, if anyone go out there right now, you just type in recession, you see what they have out there. And if you look out there, it's only been out there a day. I'm going to show you what they had yesterday versus what they had today. Okay. So I'm going to do that to you. But before I get to that, let's get to some of these numbers and let's get to how the left right now is completely looking the other way when it comes to Joe Biden. But are they looking the other way? Now things are really changing, right? Things are changing. And the Democrats know things are changing. Hold on one second. Okay, here we go. All right, let me put this up on the screen. Okay, you see this? Listen, I want you to listen to this because this was on one of the news networks, right? Listen to this because they're talking about the poll numbers, and they're talking about the poll numbers that came from CNN. These are the poll numbers came from CNN. And a lot of people don't even, you have Cori Bush, what I played before, where she said that she didn't want to answer about Joe Biden in 2024. She didn't want to talk about it. Remember AOC was asked a question about Joe Biden in 2024, and she kind of avoided the question too. But listen to this. This is the poll numbers for the Democrats' support for or non-support for Joe Biden. Listen to this.
And some tough news this afternoon for President Joe Biden from inside his own party. 75% of Democrats say they want someone other than Biden to get the 2024 nomination. That's the latest from a CNN poll of registered voters, and it's a sharp increase from earlier this year.
It's a sharp increase. She said it's a sharp. That means it's not like, gradually going up. It's just boom, skyrocketed 75%. And if you know what, I think they're even fudging the numbers. If you're asking me, they're fudging the numbers. They literally are. They're fudging. They don't, because, think about it. There's probably more than that. It's probably like 85, 87, close to 90%, right? It is because think about, I keep saying this. Remember the devil went down to Georgia and Stacey Abrams didn't want to go out and see him? You remember that? She avoided him, and this was a while back. So it's all it's done has gotten worse for Joe Biden. Even Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are at each other's throats. Really, right? Think about it. Kamala Harris is blaming Biden for her failures, for her mistakes.
Analysts say frustration with the state of the country and the economy is building. And there's some good news for the
right. Oh, didn't mean to do that. So 75%. So then, of course, I had to go over to the Communist News Network and I had to see what they're saying about it. Is this an actual poll? Is this an actual poll that came out of the Communist News Network? Is it? Well, actually, it is. Her name is Erin Burnett. She's on the Communist News Network and she's been on there for years and she's talking about these poll numbers. I'm like, are they going to try to chalk it up? This is not good. And the most interesting thing is that the reason why the country's in the state that it's in with this recession, you have to admit, And I wish CNN would take responsibility, but they're part of the problem. They're part of the reason why we're in this predicament right now, along with MSDNC, along with ABC, CBS, NBC, the whole Alphabet Network soup group. They're all part of the problem because they pushed Biden. I mean, I don't even think really Biden probably didn't have to spend any campaign money because they were all backing Biden. They are at fault just as much as Biden and the rest of the Democrats. Listen to this.
Tonight, 75%, the vast majority of Democrats, 3 out of 4, don't want Biden to be their nominee in 2024. That is according to a new CNN poll. Out front now, David Axelrod, former senior advisor to President Obama. David, I heard that and sort of stopped in my tracks for a second.
Oh, she's stopping her tracks for a second. Really? You're stopping your track for a second? Like she can't believe it? Have you not seen the economy? I'm willing to bet she's never even been to the gas pump. She probably, if she has, maybe 40 years ago. She's never been to the gas pump. So she doesn't even know what people are going through. She's getting paid she's getting paid nicely. So she probably doesn't even worry about how much food is going up, groceries. She's not even probably a concern for her.
3/4 of Democrats don't want the incumbent president to run again. How worried should Biden be right now about that?
Well, obviously.
Well, you can't make it. Well, okay, sorry, I'll let it go.
Obviously, this is a very unhappy bit of data for him, and I'm sure,
he don't have nothing to say. This is very bad bit of data, seriously. Did they think that we wouldn't recognize what was happening in America? Did they think that we would go to the gas pump and we would just ignore what was happening? Oh, yeah, we love this. Oh, look at this gas prices. Oh, it came down 50%. Oh, we love this. Oh, yeah, thank you, Biden, bringing down 50 cents. Oh, we love this. And it's still already high. It's still doubled, if not tripled in some places. But 50 cents coming down, we're supposed to be happy about that. You're not supposed to complain about that. You're supposed to be silent about that, right? Oh, no. You know, it's so bad. Kamala Harris, like I mentioned, Kamala Harris is even blaming Biden for her failures because she's lazy. She doesn't want to do any of the briefing. She doesn't want to take any of the information. That's why when she goes before people, she's just constantly repeating the same word over and over and over. That's what she does. She repeats the same thing over and over and over and thinking that people don't recognize it, like no one's paying attention to her. Oh, they're not going to pay it. They're not going to even recognize it because they believe that the American people are stupid. The gas prices went through the roof. They brought it down 50% and it's still high, but they think the American people are stupid and they're like, oh, yeah, he's bringing the gas prices down. Gas prices were already down, but they caused the issue for it to go up. Listen to this. This was on Fox News where they're talking about Kamala Harris. And I can only imagine that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, when they go in the room knowing this information now, I just wonder what it's like. It's a really valid question.
It's one after another, after another, after another, after another. How many have left? 13? It's something crazy number. Look, Americans are forgiving and Americans are very understanding. It's almost as though we could look back on the last year and a half and say, okay, maybe it's Joe's fault. I don't think it's Joe's fault, folks. It's not Joe's fault. She is who she is. But I don't blame Joe. I don't blame the fact that she's in a position of vice president and therefore gets the tough jobs. That's nonsense. You are a vibrant woman at the prime of your life. You are vice president of the United States. You've got the energy. You've got the stamina. You're quick. You're sharp. You've run for office before.
Okay, let me, I have to disagree with Judge Jeanine. I love Judge Jeanine. She's so spot on, but Kamala Harris is not quick. She's not smart. I think Judge Jeanine is just being nice here, but she's not any of those things. She's I guess she's still vibrant, right? But she's not quick and she's not smart. That's my biggest pet peeve about this clip here. But It is what it is.
You should be out there every day doing something. I don't care if it gave you the border to deal with. You should be out there getting women together, getting business people together, baby formula, whatever it is. You get out there and you be heard. You're not controlled by Joe Biden. He doesn't tell you what to do. You can do what you want to do. So don't give me this garbage that, oh, Joe Biden isn't giving her a chance. She's lazy and she's not interested. That's why she's a failure.
That's why she's a failure, because she's lazy. She's not interesting. Her biggest deal that she want to work on, right? The biggest thing that she wants to work on is what pronoun you are. Like, that's the biggest issue that they have to work on right now. What kind of suit you have on, what you look like, what you're doing. That's the biggest issue for them right now. Right? That's what they're looking at. It's not, she could go out and do some stuff. You know what? If Kamala Harris showed up at the border with the cameras and everything and said, okay, you know what? I think we've had enough. We're going to do it. She's the border czar, right? But she's not going to do that. That's not in her agenda. She is lazy. And you know what? When she have to go on these, when she go on these trips, she just going on the trips probably just to go shopping. But you know, since she got to be there, since I have to be here anyways, I'm gonna go shopping. But I do this extra stuff because just show face. She is completely lazy. She's not doing anything. And I've asked this question multiple times of Democrats. Name one thing that the Democrats have done that the United States of America has benefited from. Name one thing. Seriously. Name one thing that did not cause inflation. Name one thing that caused this recession that we're in, right? Tomorrow they're supposed to come out with the numbers. And I'm going to prove to you tonight that they're actually changing the facts. I'm going to prove it. I got the proof. Let me get to that right now then. Let me get to that right now. Okay? Let's get to that. Look at this one. This is the press secretary having a problem with inflation. And Peter Doocy, I like Peter Doocy. He's asking these tough questions, and I'm pretty sure they hate it to see him coming to the door. They do. But listen to this and listen to her response, because what she's getting ready to do is she's getting ready to lie to you, and I'm going to prove to you that they're actually changing it on the socialist media platforms to coincide with what they're saying, what the left is saying. They're changing it. Right? And then I know the fake fact checkers, they're going to take it and say, oh, no, this is false information if you post it out there like this. But I got the proof, but let me show you this, and it's going to lead right into it. Listen.
Great. But so as you talk about plans on the other side, it was this plans that contributed to inflation, right?
No, it was not. It was this plan. If we talk about the American Rescue Plan, look, Peter, when the walked into this administration, there was an economic crisis, there was a crisis, there was a crisis, and we're still dealing with a lot of that right now. But turned the economy back on. There were businesses that were closed, schools that were closed, and because of the American Rescue.
You know what? Businesses were not closed in Florida. Schools were not closed in Florida, and Florida. The economy in Florida is so much better than it is California, where they shut everything down. So kind of explain the difference there. So it came down to the governor. So again, she's lying about the reason why certain things happen. Listen.
Plan. By the way, no Republican voted for that plan. And that plan had $350 billion for public safety, another thing that Republicans talk about, but they actually don't do, and they don't push forward on a policy that will help our law enforcement.
You know what? Adding to the deficit is not going to help anybody. It's going to cripple America. And see, they're trying to say because you're not allowing us to spend more money, meaning that you don't want to help the police department. And you know what? They've been screaming about defunding the police department. Why would the Republicans support something that's with $300 billion that's not going to go to helping the police department? She just lied. They constantly talk about defunding, or they want to restructure the police department. That's what they changed it to, from defunding. They want to restructure it. It's still the same thing. They want to allocate funds somewhere else. So they want to just take more money, which is going to cause more inflation in the country, and put it to something that has nothing to do with nothing, like, identifying pronouns. Maybe that's what they wanted to do. Listen to this.
That plan helped put us in a stronger labor market and help make our economy stronger. And so that is what is happening. It is not the president that has created inflation. There are also outside factors that has led us to where we are today.
If things are going...
So talking about outside factors, right? She's trying to say outside factors did this, not what Biden did, not what the Democrats did. Let's not let's forget and let's not remember how much gas was before Biden came into the White House. Don't remember that or forget about that. That has nothing to do with anything anymore. I mean, so Peter Doocy, he goes on to ask another question about defining what a recession is, because, y'all have heard it. She's all denying it. They're all denying it, right? Listen to this one.
No, we're not redefining recession.
If we all understand a recession...
Oh, sorry. Let me take it back.
Where we are today.
If things are going so great, though, then why is it the White House officials are trying to redefine recession?
No.
Okay, and let me stop it real quick. Sorry. I have the proof where the social media platforms are changing what the definition was yesterday. It was, I'm telling you, they had a different definition for it yesterday. Peter Doocy's going to say it. I'm going to show it to you. Actually, let me show it to you before we go to here. You see this? This was the definition as of yesterday on Google. A long-standing rule of thumb holds that the recession occurs when the economy shrinks for 2 consecutive quarters. This was on Google. I should have taken a screenshot. Sorry, I apologize. The only reason why I have the text in this content right now, because I actually copied it yesterday and I added it to my description on my podcast. If you go to podcast, on my podcast is separate than my other shows. My podcast is Reality Check with Will Johnson. I put this on the description. You can go look at my podcast, go download it, go look at the description yesterday. This was what Google had yesterday. Let me put up on the screen what Google has today. This is what Google has today. Can you see this? Look at this. And this is the same place I went to. I type in, you can see at the top there, I typed in recession. And now they change it to exactly what the press secretary is saying. They change it. And what I really want y'all to pay attention to is look at the day right there. Is that too small for y'all to see? Right there in the middle of the screen, it says 1 day ago. They change it officially. Look at it. Officially, the NBER defines recession as a significant decline in economy activity that is spread across the economy and lasts more than a few months. Now, actually, if you think about what it says here, it's actually worse than. And okay, what's a few months? Because we know a couple months is 2, right? It's two a couple months. Couple, it takes a couple, right, to make a baby, man and woman. So if you have a few, is that 3 or more? What is a few? I've always asked the question, what is several, right? So I always had this impression that few is 3 or more, like 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then several, because of the way it sounds, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. Several sounds like 7 or more, and then you have a dozen. So if it's just a few months, we've already been in a recession for the last 6 months, right? So how long is a few? Let's go back and listen to what she says here, because she's literally lying again to the American people about all of this. Listen to this. Here we go. Going back to it.
No, we're not redefining recession.
If we all understand a recession to be 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth in a row, and then you have White House officials come up here to say, no, that's not what a recession is. It's something else. How is that not redefining recession?
Because that's not the definition. That is not the definition.
It is the definition. It is the definition. I'm sorry. It was the definition yesterday, as of Google, because they changed it today. Because the fake fact checkers are going to come back around and say what Peter Doocy was saying was fake. It was false. It's not true. Disinformation. That's what they're going to say. But yesterday, that's what the definition was. They're working hand in hand. This, to me, I see this as actual proof that the federal government is working with these tech companies to undermine what the truth is. To hinder free speech, all of the above. If this is not proof enough, I don't know what is. They just changed it a day ago. It says, I encourage everyone right now, listen to the sound of my voice, to go on Google and type it in, and you'll see that it was changed a day ago. What else do you need to see?
Said in 2008, of course, economists have a technical definition, which is of a recession, which is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth.
I can tell you this.
Yesterday he said 2 negative quarters of GDP growth is not the technical definition of a recession.
It is
What
not.
changed?
It is not.
Why did he say that
It
was?
is not. I can.
It is not. It's not. You know, now here she's lying. Oh my goodness. Blatantly lying. You know what? It's been 2 consecutive quarters forever, right? It's been like that forever. Now they're just changing it, right? Because they don't want people to believe that they are the ones who caused it. That's what it comes down to. How do we change this? How do we lie to the people to get them to believe something else?
I can speak to what he said yesterday in front of all of you, which is the last thing that you just repeated. There are many factors. Economic factors and indicators to consider, and I will say that the textbook definition of recession is not 2 negative quarters of GDP. We have a strong labor market.
Again, as of today, that's changed. But yesterday and the rest of every other person that was in the White House, that's been the case. It's been 2 consecutive quarters. It's just now, again, like I keep saying it, now they want to change the rules in the middle of the game. You know, the Democrats are really good about doing that. They want to change the rules in the middle of the game. They want to act like it's not important. And you know what? It's really interesting how they want to change the rules in the game. Let me bring something else to your attention here, because I when I was looking up this with the recession here, I noticed this as well. Can I put this up on the screen? You know, because then, you know, they have these other suggestions. I was thinking, well, maybe I just, you know, copied the different information other than the information that I have from yesterday, what they talked about a recession. And if I can put it back on the screen one more time for you, this is what it said, right? Long-standing rule of thumb. You know, that holds recessions occurs when the economy shrinks for 2 consecutive quarters. But then I started looking, I said, well, maybe I got that information from somewhere else when I typed in recession, but I didn't, because it was the first one. And right there with it being highlighted, you know, for those of y'all that can't see that, I'm gonna see, let me see if I can make that just a little bit bigger here, because I think it's worth drilling this in, Okay. Yep. Look at that. That's bigger, right? Y'all can see that, right? Look at that. This was just a day ago, and I highlighted it. They updated this a day ago. Come on now. And then I started looking at these other ones. What happens during a recession? It says during a recession, the economy struggles. People lose work. Companies make fewer sales, and the country's overall economy output declines. Are we seeing that today? I just showed y'all the other day that Google, Facebook, Spotify, other tech companies are about to lay off. Ford said they're going to lay off 8,000 people. Does that sound like anything familiar to you? This didn't happen like this under President Trump. And they all want us to believe that this is good, right? That this is good, that they brought all the jobs back. That's what they want us to believe. So then look at this. So then I went down, I said, okay, let's see. What is the other one here? It says, what an example of a recession. The most common example of a recession and depression is the global recession of 2008 financial crisis. Remember, that's when Obama came into office and Obama tried to take all the credit for everything that happened. And then they go, is a recession a good thing? Recession is a bad for capital as well as labor. And they want us to believe that everything is better. They want us to believe everything is fine and dandy. Like, don't even pay attention to it. Look the other way. You're not even supposed to recognize what a recession is. They really don't want us to. They don't. You know what? Let me change the subject up, because I can go down. I can beat that horse until it's another skeleton. But let me bring something else to your attention. You know, the Democrats, they protect each other at all costs. Even when it comes to criminal activity, they protect themselves. They have no issues on protecting each other, right? They have no issues. I always say demons protect demons. I say that all the time. But now we have it where there's blatant information, and I'm talking about a Hunter Biden laptop. There's blatant facts that came out by the Hunter Biden laptop where they discovered that the FBI was covering it up. This is supposed to be the top law in the nation. And this is a problem. I mean, who trusts the FBI? I mean, the FBI going after people that don't have nothing to do with anything. I mean, this is really disturbing. So who does the FBI work for? Do they work for the people? Or do they work for are they the strong arm for the Democrat Party? Listen to this report about Hunter Biden and how the FBI was involved.
Bombshell report out tonight alleging the FBI was involved in a giant cover-up to protect the Biden family and sway the 2020 election and possibly 2022. Highly credible whistleblowers are coming forward and reporting that the FBI intentionally downplayed damning evidence about Hunter Biden's corrupt business deals. And they hatched a plot to discredit Hunter's laptop as, quote, disinformation. We're learning federal agents were allegedly told to stop any damaging investigations into Hunter Biden. No questions asked, even though there was alleged proof of Hunter's potential criminal activity.
I mean, is this like unheard of? I mean, why would they do that? Who are they talking to? Who's talking to them? Who has a key card to the FBI to go inside and say, hey, don't do this. Don't investigate this. Can we do the same thing? Can we find someone that we like and find out some criminal activity that they're involved and get the FBI not to investigate it? No, because you know why? Because any conservative Christian, Republican, they're going to go after them. They're going to throw the book at them. You know why? Because they know that conservative Christians should be doing the right thing. Democrats are known for doing evil things. They're known for doing wrong things. Let me put it like this. You have Satan and you have God, right? Satan will see his demonic demons do things. And do you think Satan is going to be like upset with them, right? And then he's not going to like do anything about it. Well, God will punish them in the due time, right? Because we all know that they're going to do evil things, right? They're going to do evil things. That's just who they are, like the Democrats. But then when you have, let's say, angels, the angels do their things. And then if angels do something wrong, bam, snap, God gets them immediately. And even the demons say, ha, 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 look at you. You did wrong. You did wrong. And they do this every single time. Let me give you a better analogy here. You remember when President Trump, every time President Trump would say something that, that the Democrats were like, oh, did you see President Trump, what he's just said? And then he go, you Christians, are you going to hate President Trump like we do now? Are you going to hate him like we do now? That's what they did through and through. Like they would call them white supremacists when it wasn't true. When they said it was good people on both sides. Oh my goodness, he said it was good people on both sides. There were. Not all Democrats are bad because there's Democrats leaving the Democrat Party. Not all of them are bad. Listen to the rest of this.
Orders to black out the story were reportedly put forward by FBI analyst Brian Outen. Funny thing about him is he's the same FBI official who pushed the Trump-Russia collusion hoax. He took the bait on the Steele dossier and used it to illegally investigate Trump campaign officials like Mike Flynn and Carter Page. And now he has his fingerprints all over another FBI plot to meddle with our elections. This is all coming just as federal prosecutors in Delaware have reportedly reached a, quote, critical stage in charging the son of the president for tax fraud, foreign lobbying violations, and lying on a firearms application. But primetime sources tell us that these are very narrow charges. And the bigger international pay-to-play scheme involving China and the big guy is not being seriously scrutinized. And Delaware prosecutors may be getting pushback from the Department of Justice to wait on charging Hunter Biden so it doesn't cost the Democrats in the midterms.
This is like unbelievable, right? I mean, I guess it's not really unbelievable. I mean, we expect this from the Democrats. We expect them to cover it up. We expect them to not allow any of it to happen. That's what we expect from them anyways, right? It's like known, right, that they're going to be corrupt and do these things.
The FBI whistleblowers, as mentioned towards the top of the show, came forward to Senator Chuck Grassley, and he joins us now.
Well, I don't have that part. But you know what? It's really interesting that the FBI would even do this in the first place. and I've mentioned this before, when I was a kid, when I was younger, I used to think, man, how cool would it be to be in the FBI, right? I used to think it would be so cool. It would be awesome to be in the FBI. Now I'm like, oh, not so much. I mean, I refuse to believe that everybody in the FBI is as corrupt as they're saying it, as they're relaying it. I don't want to believe it. I mean, maybe I'm being naive here. Maybe the entire FBI is just completely corrupt. We're the good men and women in the FBI. Apparently there are some because they're whistleblowing on this stuff. So, that proves what I'm saying. There's some good ones in there. The problem is that the bad ones have all the control, apparently. They have all the control. That's the problem. Y'all know who Kevin McCarthy is? See, Kevin McCarthy kind of reminds me like, Lindsey Graham, Mitch McConnell. They'll come out and they'll say things like, oh, yes, 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 yes. But then they do these things that I disagree with. Like, for example, giving Nancy Pelosi control of what Republicans can sit on what committees. He did that. Kevin McCarthy did that. He surely did, and the first time I ever heard of it, because they were saying this is not even real, right? He did it to Marjorie Taylor Greene. He allowed Nancy Pelosi to decide what committees she can sit on. And because of Nancy Pelosi, she couldn't sit on any of them. And then, the whole thing with the committee, the one committee that they got going on, I don't want to say the bad word there. It's the sham show committee that they're doing right now, trying to go after President Trump. Same thing there. They put Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, and then they call it bipartisan. It's not bipartisan. The reason why I bring that up is because I want you to listen to what Kevin McCarthy says here. And what he says here, I agree with, but it's just, it's like he's so wishy-washy. I mean, really? Listen.
First thing we're going to do, we're going to make not just America energy independent, we're going to be dominant. We're going to lower this gas price that helps us with inflation. They've added $9 trillion more that they've been spending since they've taken over. We're going to curve the spending in this country. Secondly, there are whole policies that have gone on about defunding the police. We're not going to defund them, we're going to increase them. And you know what? We're going to withhold money for any prosecutor that doesn't uphold the law and picks and choose who they go to prosecute.
See, everything he's saying, I'm like, yes, this, and you know what? He probably like this. He's probably straight up about it. But I mean, it's just, I don't know, right? Because you see what he did with President Trump after the day, right? You remember that day? Y'all saw what he did with President Trump. And then he tried to act like it didn't even happen. And then the Democrats, they took it and ran with it. Said, oh, listen what Kevin McCarthy, listen what he said about President Trump. So, I mean, it's good. Yeah, this is good things. This is what we want. This is things that need to take place.
We're not going to have a secretary that says the border is secure when it's not. We're going to secure our border, in the drug trade, and stop the terrorists from coming across that border as well. We're rolling out a parent's Bill of Rights. Shouldn't parents have a say in their kids' education? We're going to have a plan for all this lost learning during the pandemic. We're not going to leave these kids behind. We're going to give them an opportunity, the freedom of a pick to where the school they want to go to, but make sure they don't fall behind and they move ahead at the same time.
So I guess he's just going to take the same policies that Ron DeSantis did, right? And I just want to play a short clip because, I mean, they say what we want to hear, right? They say what we want to hear. This is probably part of the reason why I can't be a politician, because I call these people out when they do this stuff, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's the reason why they're doing her the way they're doing her. And y'all just what, like Dan Crenshaw, was, pretty much attacking Marjorie Taylor Greene because she was speaking out. We need more people that's going to speak out and say something, right? That's what we need. We need people with a backbone. We need people with a spine, right? We need someone with some courage That's what the Republican Party used to represent. Courage. Courage for the American, regardless of your complexion. Courage, strength for the American people. That's what it's supposed to represent. And that's why I vote Republican. I don't agree with some of these rhino Republicans. And some of these rhino Republicans are like, oh, we just need to get along. We need to get along. We need, this is politics. We're supposed to do this way, No. This is the reason why we're in this predicament right now. Because y'all keep doing the same thing thinking y'all going to get better results. It doesn't make a lick of sense to me. I don't understand it. I really don't. That's probably why I'm not a politician. It's probably why I'm not a politician, really. That's why I'm not a politician. All right. I do have something else I want to share with you. At least I thought I did. Where'd it go? Okay, yep, here it is. So, no, I can't show it to you. You know what? Because, I'm sorry. I can't show it to you. While Kamala Harris is so concerned about expressing her pronouns and having a meeting with all of them expressing the pronouns and the color of their hair and what kind of pantsuits they have on, we're having a major issue on the border which she's ignoring. She's paying attention to all of this wokeness, but she doesn't want to pay attention to what's actually happening on our southern border. The fentanyl that's coming across the border is killing our children. Like, don't they, they blame Republicans saying, oh, you want the baby to survive while it's in the womb, but when the baby comes out of the womb, you don't want it to survive, which is a total lie. That's what they say. Because the Democrats are allowing all the fentanyl to come across the border, and guess who is going directly to? It's going directly to our children in this nation.
The president of Honduras about the influx of migrants headed to our southern border. And it comes as law enforcement officials throughout the country say the drugs and criminals coming across our border are overwhelming their towns. Sheriff Kieran Donahue of Canyon County, Idaho, joins me now. Sheriff, good morning to you. You are 2,000 miles away from the southern border. How bad is the fentanyl crisis in your community?
We're at a crisis stage, quite frankly. We have never seen the numbers of seizures and the amounts of any drug, including methamphetamine, like we're seeing in fentanyl. And of course, we're still reeling with the methamphetamine crisis we've been in for years. And every bit of this substance, these illegal narcotics, come from the border without question. Wow. They're coming to us and ravaging our communities and the overdoses. I've had, over the last year, numerous deputies hospitalized because of fentanyl exposures just in my jail, where we've had to hospitalize these deputies just because they've come in contact with it.
Oh, my goodness, because if you even touch it, it could affect you. That's how lethal this drug is. How are these drugs getting into your county? Are the members of the Mexican drug cartels actually driving fentanyl up themselves from the southern border all the way up to Idaho?
Without question, and have been for decades. And there's a very established cartel membership literally in every community, every county, and every state in the United States, and we're no exception. They're assigned here, they're deployed here, they operate from here, from safe houses, drop houses, intersecting with our local gangs and other nefarious criminals, and then they distribute the dope. But it's all run by the cartels. There's not a day or a night goes by that we're not dealing with someone associated with the Mexican cartels in our community and communities throughout the state of Idaho.
So that means,
you know what? I look at this and I see this information and I'm like, do they not think this is really serious? Why is the Biden administration ignoring this? Right? President Trump didn't ignore this. President Trump knew that it was a problem. And it's not just killing a certain group of kids, it's killing all of our kids. And President Trump would say, you know what, now if President Trump would have came out and said, oh, you know what, these drugs are going into the white community, so now we need to stop them. Oh, you hear what he said? You hear what he said? That's exactly how they would have acted. You know they would have acted that way. Oh my God, did you hear what he said? It's the white community. But President Trump wanted to stop it from going into all of the communities in the United States of America because it's affecting all of the American children. Right? But in this case, The Biden administration, they don't care about your children. This is part of their agenda. Like last night I did a video and I called it, is this part of the agenda? You know, the recession, all of it is part of their agenda. The drugs, the invasion on the southern border is part of their agenda. This is what they want. This is what they're doing to us. I mean, if you don't want to think that this is destroying and trying to tear up the lives of your families and your children, then what is? It's unbelievable, really.
It means that you in Canyon County, Idaho, are in a war with the Mexican drug cartels. What's that like? Have you ever arrested any of them?
Absolutely. Before I became the sheriff, of course, I spent 6 years assigned to the FBI on a gang task force, violent crime.
And that's when the FBI was boom. That's when the FBI was on point, because good men like him left the FBI. You understand? See, I don't even know him personally, but he's trying to stop all of this stuff from coming in, and it's 2,000 miles from the border, and it's a major problem. How is it getting that far? Is the federal government involved? I mean, it's a valid question.
I've done multiple highly complex multi-defendant cases federally and state. I personally, my family's been, affronted by these gangs, by the cartel membership. They tried to kidnap my daughter years ago. She was 16 years old. Thankfully, that case got unraveled before it actually happened. But this is how serious it is to law enforcement. It's not just serious to law enforcement, though. It's serious to our citizens. And the amount of overdoses unprecedented in our state, in our communities right here where I'm at. We have never seen these numbers. And so I have always stated, and when I travel to the border a couple of times a year, we are at war with the cartels. That is our number one front. That's our number one battle in the United States. And people who don't believe that are absolutely hiding from the truth, including the director who's traveling to Honduras. This is absolutely ridiculous to think that this border is secure, that we're safe in our communities. We are not. We are on the cusp of complete collapse.
Complete collapse. Complete collapse. That's not cool at all. Complete collapse. And it's not just, look, our southern border, the fentanyl, the sex trafficking. That's just our southern border. And you know what? The terrorists that they've caught, they've already apprehended countless number of terrorists on the terrorist watch list. Imagine the ones that they didn't get. They said millions of people already came into the country. They don't even know where they are. The gotaways, they call them gotaways. And the Obama administration is like, don't even look at it. Don't even pay attention to it. They're doing the same thing like the Communist News Network. When Project Veritas come out with the Communist News Network video and expose them for all the corruption and the evil stuff that they're doing. And the Communist News Network said, just ignore it, it'll go away. Just ignore it, it'll go away. That's the same model that Joe Brandon and the Democrats do. Just ignore it, it'll go away. Just ignore it, it'll go away. Just ignore it to go away. Let me say one more thing here before I go. Last night, I had problems sleeping, and I just up thinking. I had something out on my chest. I had to get off my chest, and I noticed that when I just do a single video, when I just do a video and just talking to people, anyone who wants to tune in and just listen, I'm just talking. They've been hitting me with a copyright strike. My voice. So it's like someone has taken ownership of my voice on Facebook. Like every time I use my voice, they say, oh, copyright strike, your voice. How do I get around that? Who do I contact? How do I tell them to stop doing this? I own this voice. I've never signed this voice over to anybody. What is it about my voice? And is it happening to anybody else? Has anybody else said it? What can I do about it? How is that not talking about civil liberties. Talking about a company just literally taking ownership of something, of your person, without you even being able to say yes or no to it. Come on. Is there somebody I can contact about this? And I take screenshots. Like I said last night, there's no music in it. Just like tonight, there's no music. I'm just talking. And they go, oh, look at this. Copyright. And they say music, but there is no music. And I know why they do it. They do it because they don't want me to be able to get any of the blessings. They don't want the ads to happen. They don't want it. And I'm like, you know what? And the thing is, I didn't even say anything mean. I just said the things that the demons don't like. I said what the demons don't like. All right. Let me say, do we have a couple people that supported me tonight? I know I saw one. Someone that actually bought me a coffee. Someone bought me a coffee. 2 coffees. It doesn't tell me their name. This one says Wanda. Wanda. I just always say the first name because some people don't want their full name on there. But Wanda, thank you so much for the coffee. Thank you so much. Bought me a coffee. Wanda went to my website, uniteamericaFirst.com/donation and did it there. And I want to thank you so much. Let me say thank you to Barry. Thank you so much for the stars, Barry. And then Charmin. Is that right? Charmin E. Thank you so much. Don, thank you so much for the stars as well. And they turned my stars off last night, but then they turned them right back on right at the end of the broadcast. I was like, that's kind of weird. Janet, thank you so much for the stars. I'm like, why would they do that? Why would they do that? Jacqueline, thank you so much for the stars as well. Kevin, thank you so much for the stars. I really appreciate it. And Sherry, thank you for the stars. And Tony, thank you. Oh yeah, Tony got the Let's Go Brandon. Thank you, Tony. I really appreciate it. Lynn, thank you so much for Lynn as well. Thank you so much, Lynn. Greatly appreciate it. And thank you for the PayPal. Thank you so much. And then Victoria, thank you so much for the Cash App. And Kevin, thank you so much for becoming a 3-month YouTube member. Thank you. Thank you. JDWC003, thank you so much for the super chat, sir. Thank you. Tony, thank you so much for the stars. Mildred, thank you so much for the stars. Michelle, thank you for the stars as well. Meredith, Marith, Marty, thank you. Nancy, thank you so much for the stars. And Flora, thank you for the stars. And Michelle, thank you for the stars. And then Cheryl, thank you so much, Cheryl. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, everybody, please share the video. If you're listening, share the audio. I want to encourage everyone to go to my new podcast. If you go to my website, just go to the website, uniteamericaFirst.com. You'll see it right there on the front page. Please subscribe to my podcast. It's free to subscribe. Please subscribe to my podcast. And it's live right now on my podcast. So you can, if you're too busy, you can't sit down, you want to watch it, you want to listen while you work, while you play, while you're driving, you can download my podcast. It's Reality Check with Will Johnson. Reality Check with Will Johnson. All right, check it out. Just go to my website, uniteamericaFirst.com, and you'll be able to see it right there on the front page. Click on my podcast. Take care, everybody. See you on the flip side. God bless. Reality Check.